Would like to say a big thank you to everyone who has joined us here at Patreon. We are having an amazing discussion on this platform. We are allowed to talk about things and discuss things that would more than likely get us thrown off of YouTube, if not demonetized for sure. Also, at different levels, we offer security clearances that give you access to military intelligence training. At the $5 level, you have basic clearance. At the $10 level, you have a top secret clearance. At the $15 level, you get what they call special access need to know for section chiefs and senior analysts. Today, we put up the first video that has that level of training, and I think for those folks, they are going to be enlightened in a way they haven't been before as to how the media uses psychological operations tactics, and we also reveal someone in the mainstream media that is actually a CIA operative. So if you are interested in finding that out, please don't hesitate to come to Patreon and help us out. For those who do want to take it to the next level, of course, we have our $20 and $50 levels, and those are for business owners and for those who would like to take psychological operations to a level where it can affect elections and globalist power brokers. But, as promised in the title, we are going to cover something that is eminently more important than that. We had recently been covering this issue with the dam in Colombia and thought that the danger had abated. The original story was that the dam had these diversion tunnels that had collapsed, but through tireless efforts of the workers, they were able to build the dam up to a level that caused the water to be diverted through another area so that they could control the flow. Well, now they have an entirely different problem. Earthquakes in the region have caused the dam to become unstable and dangerous, and the company, EPM, has pulled all of its workers, and so now it is no longer going to be a discussion of whether the dam will ever be operational. It's going to be a discussion of how they can keep this abandoned work site from causing one of the greatest natural disasters to ever occur in the hemisphere. And that is not an overstatement. I am going to read to you what's being reported from Columbia Reports. 29 May 2018. Despite major human achievements, landslides and tremors never felt before perpetuate fear that Colombia's largest dam could burst. Earth movements across Saturday and Monday posed enough of a threat to force workers attempting to save the Hidroituango Dam from collapsing to abandon their posts. The emergency came after a brief period of hope. Engineers and builders had successfully finished constructing the dam wall that would allow the return of more than 25,000 evacuated people to their homes. Management of the EPM utility company in charge of the construction of the trouble-riddled dam made the executive decision on Monday in what presents itself as an entirely new threat to a dam that could burst at any moment. For safety and prevention, this is a quote, those who have continued restorative works of the project were evacuated. While workers have had to abandon their posts before, never have they had to because of the rumblings of Mother Nature proving to be an entirely new danger and yet another setback in what has been a pressing month for EPM. The company has been forced to turn the construction project into a salvage mission. That's key here. The company has been forced to turn the construction project into a salvage mission for the up to 100,000 residents living in across 12 municipalities downstream who could be flooded should the structure give way. Despite workers having raced around the clock to reach the fundamental 410-meter elevation on dam walls and promising to bolster it with rocks a further 5 meters for additional insurance, there are still grave concerns for nearby locals. EPM reiterates to residents living downstream of the project that it is still in a state of permanent alert and must not lower their guard for this reason. It is essential to remain vigilant to the safety warnings of authorities, EPM said. Medellin Mayor Federico Gutierrez said that if the dam were to give way, floods would reach municipalities such as Nashí in 18 hours, Caucasia in 10, Caceres in 5, and Puerto Valdivia in just an hour. More than 8,000 people still remain in temporary shelters for safety reasons, according to the radio station La FM, and we have used their information here before. As a precautionary measure, a tunnel that connects to the nearby Ituango municipality was also closed. A boat shuttle has instead been made available for affected residents, with an additional Ferry service to transfer vehicles expected to be made available by the end of the week. There's a group of geologists there continuing to monitor the site, as will we. We will continue to monitor this story for you, since the mainstream media doesn't seem to think that the threat to 125,000 people and a major epic natural disaster like this deserves any kind of coverage whatsoever. You will only find it here on the Florida Maquis and on Columbia Reports. Also, there is Shafaqna, SHAFAQNA.com, that we have covered before. And of course, if you use Google Chrome, those Spanish language websites will automatically translate it for you. Now, the original reason for the problem with this dam has been basically the people that were running it were corrupt. It just comes right down to that. There's really no way around it. And pardon the delay here, we're going to have to refresh Google Earth here for a minute. And while we're doing that, I just wanted to also, we'll go over here to another tab for a minute, talk about Argentina. The reason we brought up Argentina, because it gives us a window into the decisions that are forced upon tiny countries like this: Argentina, Colombia, Venezuela. The leader of Venezuela just got reelected, and many people reviled him, saying that he was the one, through poor management, bad decision making, that led to the collapse of the economy. Now, we have debunked that completely here, but Argentina actually did do the thing that Mr. Maduro was trying to avoid doing, meaning take giant loans from the IMF, dollarize his economy, peg the peso in Argentina to the US dollar. What this does is it destroys the sovereignty of a nation. It basically makes them a US client state. And Argentina is now terminally, and forever shall be, in debt to the IMF and to the World Bank, meaning that they now run that country. There is no sovereignty for Argentina. The Argentine people are no longer in charge of their own destiny. And of course, the globalists will love to tell you about how wonderful Buenos Aires is, and how you can go to places like this and have all of the wonders and nice things that you get in modern countries in Europe and America. But what they don't tell you about the seedy underbelly. They don't tell you about the permanent underclass, about the permanent poor, about those who will never have a chance because of big globalist tactics here. And while this is largely blamed on the left and people who are seen as being communist or socialist or leftist, this is the eventual result of big capitalism. See, middle income capitalism is fine. Those people like you and me making $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 a year. But when you get to this level and they can take over the entire country, it doesn't work. It looks like Google Earth is not going to be cooperating with us today. But suffice it to say that the problem here at Hidroituango in the northern part of Colombia is not going to go away anytime soon. The earthquakes have been numerous, and some of you have actually come here and alluded to them in the comments, and they didn't seem like they were going to be a big deal at the time, but they have not stopped. And usually Columbia Reports gives a map of what's going on in the where, and they won't give us one here today, of course. So anyway, just pray for the folks in this region, if you would, and keep them in your thoughts, because they have done everything they could to stop this dam project. There were people that knew years and years ago that this was not the right place for this, that this was not something that was going to ever end well, given those that were in charge of building it, and it looks like Google Earth might be cooperating with us. And there we go. We're going to go ahead and zoom in here just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. This is the area. I've said this before, the water flows this direction, going from right to left on your screen. There is a tiny river over here called the Ituango River, and this is the Cauca River. They were going to be able to build the dam here and divert the water in both directions, but of course the tunnels they built to divert it, because they were done cheaply and they didn't clear all of the scrub away, they clogged the channels and it caused the water to build up prematurely. And then, of course, when the collapses would let go through the excess pressure, would send giant torrents of water downstream from the Cauca River down here to all of these little communities and would destroy them. So this is what's happened, and I hope folks can kind of keep this in mind when they go to bed and say their prayers tonight. It's a terrifying thing to know that you could wake up tomorrow and everything you have ever loved and ever built in your life could be gone because of greed and corruption and graft. So we will leave it there. Don't want to waste a whole lot of your time, but once again, thank you so much to the folks that have come to Patreon. Very, very much appreciate that. Like I said, you have posts available there for any amount of contribution, as low as $1, but the security clearances start at $5 and go up to $50. So hope to see you there, but until then, we will see you next time. Like, share, subscribe.